Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. No one can deny how clever Pokemon is as a business strategy. Get kids to collect as many monsters as they can, whether they be from toys, games, or trading cards. Sleazy? Perhaps, but clever marketing? Yes. So a lot of companies realised this and did try to imitate what Pokemon was doing. There's loads of examples of Pokemon knockoffs and Pokemon rip-offs and franchises that clearly want to cash in on the same strategy that the Pokemon makers went for. And my country of Britain is no exception. We have our own take on Pokemon. Yes, it's called Moshi Monsters. Moshi Monsters is a British entertainment website for kids. It lets children pick from a selection of monsters to play as and then enter the community of Monstro City, where they can chat to other players, play games to make money called rocks, and collect a series of tinier monsters called Moshlings. Yes, you can adopt a monster who can adopt a monster. It's basically Adoptception. While the concept feels similar to something like Neopets, the idea of collecting varied numbered monsters is clearly inspired by Pokemon. Moshi Monsters has become less popular over the years, but back in its heyday, it was a huge franchise that spawned lots of merchandise and even video games. I remember seeing Moshi Monster stuff in so many British stores. Personally, I'm not too familiar with Moshi Monsters. I did visit the website briefly before making this video, and while I get the basic idea of it, I'm not experienced enough to give a conclusive opinion on it as a whole. What I can talk about in detail though is Moshi Monsters the movie. Yes, they made a film of this franchise. In Moshi Monsters the movie, two monsters called Katsuma and Poppet have ended up starring in a documentary about Monstro City. While Poppet is happy taking the documentary seriously, Katsuma sees it as a chance to show off his personality and fighting skills. However, while shooting the movie, a special Moshling egg is stolen by the evil Dr. Strangeglove. Strangeglove promises no harm will come to the egg if Katsuma and his friends promise to retrieve a series of free items for him. But Strangeglove has a big sinister plan that he's hiding from the Moshi Monsters. What is he up to? When it comes down to it, the target audience for this movie, which is Moshi Monster fans aged 7 to 12, will get a lot out of it. It features their favourite monsters on the big screen doing cute things while providing the kind of silly humour that kids love. Here's the thing though, the movie was clearly only made to cash in on the success of the Moshi Monsters franchise. I get the feeling that the head honchos at Mind Candy knew that they had a large fan base and wanted to take advantage of it for a quick quid. Maybe the people hired to make the film had good intentions, I don't know, but the finished film doesn't feel sincerely made, and the vibes of corporate greed are stronger than any sense of creative love or passion behind the project. Because of this, I can't imagine Moshi Monsters the movie becoming something timeless, especially considering how the website has become less popular since the movie was made. So what we're left with is a movie that only a niche crowd will like, a crowd that's dying down lately. Everyone else will most likely yawn and groan at this shallow cash grab of a movie because as a standalone film, it's not very good. Because the film expects every single person who watches it to be die-hard Moshi fans, it throws everyone in a deep end and wants to get the ball rolling as soon as the opening title fades in. When the film begins, it refuses to organically introduce the Moshi Monsters world, what Moshi Monsters even are, what Moshlings are, and many other things required to settle newcomers into the story. It's not a good way to welcome potential new fans, and it makes the movie seem incredibly rushed, because it's skipping over any world building or natural character introductions. Like I said, it puts fan service before good filmmaking. This is also a very repetitive movie. Each scene plays out the same. Our heroes come across an object they require, they break out into song or someone comes to the rescue, the object is collected, and Strangeglove appears to make a video call monologue. It's the same scene over and over and over again, with each object being very easy to get hold of. I wish that there was more dramatic tension to the item collecting, because without much sense of a challenge, the Moshi Monsters adventure doesn't make for riveting storytelling. Sure, the objects required and the environments they're in are different for each obstacle, but it's still the same setup and payoff for every single scene. It's rather tedious, and while some young kids may enjoy the rhythm of this repetition, everyone else will get bored easily. I'm going to give 1 point to the content. Katsuma is a very insufferable lead character. His only trait is being a narcissistic show-off who only cares about fame and attention. He never hints a side of his character that's redeemable, and no, being a good fighter doesn't make up for his obnoxious personality and lack of likability. When he has his big, "I feel bad for acting like a jerk the whole time" moment, I don't buy it, and I do not feel sorry for him because he never indicated that he actually gave a crap about those around him. It feels completely out of nowhere when he suddenly admits that he's been a dick throughout the movie. He only feels bad later on in the story because the movie asks him to. Poppet is much more likeable than Katsuma. She's nothing interesting, but she's optimistic and upbeat while also being sensible, showing genuine concern about the egg and always looking out for team members. She's obviously meant to be the counter opposite of Katsuma, and while this does mean that she's made to be extremely sweet and nice, it also means that Katsuma is made to be extremely awful and rude, all to put emphasis on their juxtaposing personalities, which just comes at the cost of Katsuma's likability. The other members of Katsuma and Poppet's team are pretty forgettable. They only seem to be tagging along because the movie wanted to include all the Moshi monsters players can pick at the start of the website. These extra Moshi monsters don't get much development besides being loud and silly. However, I do like that Dr. Strangeglove kidnaps members of the team one by one throughout the movie. It helps to make Katsuma and Poppet more and more vulnerable as the film goes along. Dr. Strangeglove isn't a very imaginative or original villain. He's your typical monologuing and cackling bad guy who hides in his lair for most of the film. His design is pretty distracting too. I kept wanting to move his eyes underneath his hat because they look so out of place.
I put them there. Put it there. You bastard. Your character designer is a sadist.
Although he can be mildly entertaining from time to time as he eats the scenery and hams it up. He's nothing special, but I think kids will find him funny, and he does have enough energy to keep our attention. I'm going to give 2 points to the characters. This movie goes for a flash cartoon style of animation, which really doesn't fit a feature-length movie. It's not even high quality flash like Friendship is Magic. It's quite restrained and not very fluid. Sure, flash animation is sufficient for the Moshi Monsters website, but that's because it's a standard we expect from a website. If you're going to translate your website into a big movie, you need to raise the game and adapt into a different medium, one that requires high production values. The choice of flash animation, especially of this caliber and quality, gives the movie a very cheap and underwhelming visual appearance, making the movie more like a long Newgrounds cartoon than a cinematic experience. The film does attempt to create a few ambitious shots using CGI effects and cel shading, but these shots are very rare. They happen so infrequently that it's a miracle to spot them. Not to mention, this movie is too colourful. Don't get me wrong, I love colourful movies, but this film's colour palette is way too extreme. It goes overboard, looking more garish and ugly than bright and attractive. It's such an eyesore that you may need sunglasses to watch the movie. It's that damn colourful. It's like the animators of this movie were brainwashed into thinking that the only colour in the world is rainbow. Someone needs to tell those poor souls that colours are divided and can be used in moderation.
What? Rainbow isn't the only colour we can choose from? They lied to me!
Because the colours are consistently over the top, the film struggles to create different moods, tones, or atmospheres, as it's not very versatile or clever about its colour choices. Notice how good films use their eclectic mix of colours to tell their stories. They've put some thought into which colours will reflect certain feelings and atmospheres. When you're trying to make a colourful movie, it's less about loud attention grabbing and more about using the vibrant colours to tell stories. I'm going to give 1 point to the animation. Emma Tate voices Katsuma, and despite voicing a pretty awful character, she does put in a lot of effort, trying to sound boisterous and tough-spirited for the role. She can sound annoying sometimes, but that's not really her fault. The character is just horribly written.
Mr. Scrawl, allow me to introduce myself. Katsuma, the star of your movie. Hiya, Hurricane!
Yeah.
Philippa Alexander voices Poppet, giving her a very cute voice. It's nothing stellar, but it fits the character.
I've got an important announcement! Rory Scrawl is making a documentary, a movie, all about Monstro City!
Yes, Katsuma.
And he chose me to be the star!
You mean you talked him into it?
Ashley Slater voices Dr. Strangelove, and he does sound pretty entertaining, as he eats the microphone with his over-the-top cartoony performance. But I will admit that he does get too hammy at points.
Must you wear that idiotic disguise every time you run errands? I don't know what's wrong with the simple nose spectacles comedy combo.
Sorry, boss. It's just so liberating dressing up as a marshling. I haven't had that much fun since I went shoplifting in Ula Lane.
Silence, you salivating ball of buffoonery!
I'm going to give 3 points to the voice acting. For the most part, the original music score for the film isn't anything special. It's very basic and standard, the kind of music you would find in the background of a website, not a movie. The only time that the score raises its ambitions is during the finale, when the music becomes grandiose and bombastic to fit the level of climatic tension required. But before we reach the finale, it's just cheap sounding tunes that don't do much besides exist. However, this movie is also a musical. I can imagine some people are now groaning at the idea of this, but hear me out. The songs are actually the best part of the movie, and I mean that sincerely. The songs vary in genre, from Bollywood to electronic techno, orchestral to bright pop. I looked forward to these musical numbers because I knew each one was going to be good and a surprise to listen to. These songs have charismatic energy and their lyrics are actually well thought out, resulting in some fun and clever rhymes. The songs also play into the narrative, whether they're an introduction to a character, a distraction for a villain, or a required act to perform to collect an item. Sure, some of these songs are kind of cheesy and a couple come out of nowhere, but most of the songs are so good that I've gone back to listen to them again.
Sneaky style shifty, let me introduce myself. I'm the doctor they call Strangelove, a hazard to your health. I'm here to wreak some mayhem with my terrifying schemes, and lump your silly marslings with my dastardly machines.
Introducing a sensation, subject of great adulation. See steamy jungles explode mountains high. Watch mystic gurus say back is the sky. Go wiggle jingling bells on your wrist. Crystal yourself in a yoga style twist.
I'm going to give 4 points to the music. To conclude, Moshi Monsters the movie is clearly a cash cow designed to piggyback on the success of the website. Fans of Moshi Monsters will enjoy it, but those outside the fan base and older audiences will just find it to be annoying, boring, and ugly. Sure, the film's musical numbers are good, but you don't need to see the film to appreciate the songs. You can just get the soundtrack on CD instead. Moshi Monsters the movie has gained a total of 10 points, which translates to 2 Moshi Strawberries out of 5. If you enjoyed such films as Tamagotchi the movie or Pokemon the first movie, then I think you might like this film because it has the same feel as those movies, as well as the same ambitions. Now, before I end this review, I would like to point out something very interesting about the Moshi Monsters DVD. Something special comes with the DVD. What is it? Well, let me show you, just bear with me. This is a little gimmick. It basically gives people the chance to boil some kind of sticker or sleeve to eggs. Sounds strange, doesn't it? And I really want to try it out, so let's give it a go. So all these egg sleeves are based on Universal properties, because, well, Universal owns Moshi Monsters the movie. Not sure which one to go for, but I could do more than one. We could do a few of them. Let's go for it. So yeah, it's just a matter of playing the waiting game now. So it's been a couple of minutes and there's definitely some shrinking going off here. And there we go! The sleeves have shrank onto the eggs. This gimmick actually works! How cool is that? I've been Jambareeqi and I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, then please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. With enough sponsors on my Patreon, I could start doing episodes of Jambareeqi reviews every single week. How awesome would that be? Plus, if you're working on a creative project yourself and you would like to hire me as an actor, writer or editor, then head over to my services page. So, what am I going to be reviewing for the next episode of Jambareeqi Reviews? Well, that's entirely up to you folks. I've left a poll in the description box below. Here's the deadline, and I'm very excited to find out which film you want me to do next. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to enjoy some delicious chocolate Easter eggs. I have them right here.
Russell Brand stole my chocolate Easter eggs again! There will be more nipple electrocuting.
Happy Easter, folks.